Welcome back. You're watching Newscentre. The Supreme Court has issued directions to move all stray dogs in Delhi NCR to shelters within 8 weeks. While hearing a case suo motu against increasing incidents of infants and senior citizens falling prey to rabies, the court said that there should be no room for sentiments and anyone hindering the rounding up of stray dogs would be subjected to court action. That's not all. The court also refused to entertain any pleas by animal rights activists. It observed that the action should inspire confidence for children to move freely without the fear of being bitten by stray dogs. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta said that the state government will implement the court's orders, which she believes will benefit the people of Delhi.
इसमें माननीय कोर्ट ने जो आदेश दिया है वो भी हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। हमारा एक ही ध्येय है, दिल्ली की जनता को राहत देना। आज ये प्रॉब्लम जिस विकराल रूप धारण करके दिल्ली के सामने खड़ी है, इसमें सरकार की ईमानदारी के साथ में समाधान देना ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, जिसकी हमने पूरी योजना बनाते हुए इस समस्या पे काम हम करेंगे और दिल्ली की जनता को बड़ा लाभ हम लगातार देने वाले हैं।
To take this discussion forward, we are now joined by Divya Puri, co-founder of the Karan Puri Foundation, Ambika Shukla, Trustee of the Peoples for Animals, and Khushbu Gupta, Director of Advocacy Projects at PETA India. Thank you very much for joining us. Ambika Shukla, if I can begin with you first. The Supreme Court's direction on asking authorities in Delhi NCR to round up all stray dogs, move them to shelters, build shelters and report about their creation in 8 weeks. Can this even be done? Is this even possible? There is also an issue of this order going against previous orders of the Supreme Court, but I'll come to that after this.
It is actually a completely untenable order, as you've pointed out. It has been passed without any discussion or deliberation and ignoring critical ground realities. There are 0 shelters on ground. Firstly, there is no census. So even the implementing agencies, which have been directed by the court, which are the municipalities, have no idea of the numbers that they are dealing with. If they do not have any ideas of the numbers, how can they make provisions for them? There are no shelters at present run by the municipalities. There is no land allocated for the same. There are no funds that have been sanctioned for the same. The cost of maintaining a single dog in a shelter is an average of 2,500 rupees per dog per month. And this is a recurring cost. If you take an average estimate of 10 lakh dogs in the NCR area, multiply 2,500 by 10 lakhs, that is a cost of rupees 250 crores per month, every month. Can our government allocate this kind of money? Should we be doing this? When, by contrast, the cost of the ABC program is a finite rupees 1,000, a one-time cost of 1,000 rupees per dog forever. So you just look at it, the cost balance exercise, and you will see which is the more effective program. And the ABC program is actually delivering results on ground. We have brought the number of rabies cases down from 20,000 rabies cases a few years ago to just 54. Now, when a program is working well, that is not the time to derail it and implement something that is completely impractical. It is costly.
Right.
It is impractical. It is impossible. You don't have trained staff. You don't have shelters.
Okay.
You don't have numbers. You don't have the money. So I don't see this order as solving any solution. I see it throwing up a number of problems which we will have to deal with.
Ms. Shukla, I'm going to come back to you. Let me also get in Khushbu Gupta. Ms. Gupta, now, when we come to previous orders of the Supreme Court, they had spoken about giving anti-rabies vaccines to dogs wherever they live. And now this order says that you have to relocate dogs to shelters, something that previous orders of the Supreme Court and also certain global norms were against. What is the challenge that this is going to throw up? And could you give us the thinking on this issue of dealing with stray dogs, relocating them, why global bodies and even previous orders of the Supreme Court had advocated against that?
We have seen time and again, and the current law of the country also we have the Animal Birth Control or the ABC Rules 2023, which have replaced the 2001 rules. And according to them, it is illegal to remove or displace dogs from their territory. And now the Delhi government is caught between what the law says and what is directed by the court. The ABC rules have been in place and have been effective in places like Lucknow and Dehradun, which have sterilized up to 70% of their dog population. This is ABC rules is something which is backed. Animal birth control is backed by global bodies because it is the only humane and scientific way to control the dog population. In fact, in Delhi also, there used to be a time where we used to euthanize the dogs or then just pick them up or then kill them. But then that hasn't worked. And that was the time when a humane and scientific approach was needed and animal birth control rules were introduced. It is utterly impractical to build dog shelters to house Delhi's dogs. And the idea to jail these dogs is plain cruel. Even if such facilities were built, they would be severely overcrowded and disease would be rife. Shelters are supposed to be just temporary facilities to provide treatment to the dogs and then offer them for adoption. They cannot replace for their homes. The Delhi government must focus on the humane and effective sterilization and vaccination program. And when a dog is caught for sterilization, they are also given anti-rabies shots. And, the government must increase the animal birth control centers and to ensure that enough resources are put to drive. However, it's not just up to the government to work on this solution. We also appeal to the members of public to stop buying dogs from these breeders and pet shops that add to the problem. And the people must also get their own dogs, the ones that who live with them, sterilized, and choose to adopt dogs from these shelters. And if the animal birth control program is implemented, then the dogs on the street would be phased out automatically.
The co-founder of the Karan Puri Foundation, the Supreme Court took suo motu cognizance about incidents of dog bites leading to rabies. The court order also speaks about how children should be able to go out without the threat of being bitten by stray dogs and contracting rabies. How much of this is actually based on facts?
So I think the Supreme Court took suo motu action on the last case, which was reported where a girl is supposed to have died of rabies, where she actually died of meningitis. Our newspapers and our reporters play a very large role in this wrong reporting which is happening on the ground. We have inflated numbers of dog bites which are being quoted. We have inflated numbers of rabies cases which are being, reported in various media forums. And the most interesting part is that none of the stakeholders were heard today. ABC, the failure was just a blanket statement passed by the judgment. Where is the data backing this statement? Everybody who was there to represent, to show the judge that ABC is working, and it's the only humane way, none of us were heard. It was just a blanket statement that pick up the dogs and put them in the shelter. You cannot do ABC properly. Delhi still has ABC centers. Go to NCR. You don't have a state-funded ABC unit anywhere in Gurgaon, Faridabad, Noida, Ghaziabad. And you are saying ABC is a failure. It's a failure of the government to implement the law. And I'm so surprised that the judge went against the constitutional law, a law which is a valid law, which is not under dispute, to pass such an order. And while I agree that there has to be compassion taught to the children, why is that only a certain section of children are not taught this compassion? And you see so many cruelty cases where children are, killing these dogs, beating these dogs. Why are those cases not reported? I understand their incidents happen, but we have to go and understand the reason behind this incident. Everybody reported the death, but did anybody report that MCD did pick up those dogs who were supposedly biting dogs and found them to be normal dogs and they were released back?
Okay, let me now go back to Ambika Shukla. Ms. Shukla, what's now the solution? Supreme Court has now come up with this order. Municipal corporations, state governments will have to follow it in some way or the other. What's the legal recourse that you're going to take? And also, are animal organizations like yours, are most of them on the same page? What's the way ahead now? Are you going to challenge this legally?
Yes, apart from challenging it legally, I think there has been a huge backlash against the order. There are people congregating outside the Supreme Court. There are people congregating at India Gate. There is a huge and spontaneous coming together against this order because it is completely unviable. And I think the way forward is for the government of Delhi and the government of India to represent to the court that this order is not possible. It is not practical and it is not tenable. So I think it is for the government to represent that along with us. And it was completely unfair of the court to disregard domain expertise. If you have a headache, you go to a doctor. If you have a dog issue, you should be consulting with people who work with dogs. That is surely logical. You do not ignore them. You do not ignore the scientific data. You do not ignore the facts on ground and pass a completely arbitrary and unworkable order. That is not something we expect from the highest court of the land. And I think there will be challenges across the board, legally, physically, and I hope that the media will support this effort because it is something for every Indian to consider. When our constitution says compassion, we need to follow it.
That's an important point. And I'm going to ask one question to each of our guests as to how do we now strike a balance when it comes to the welfare of these stray dogs. Ideally, we should be doing this as per global norms and as per set precedents by experts. Number two, how do we address questions relating to safety of children, safety of the public? Let me start with you, Ms. Khushbu Gupta. What is now the best solution forward? What would you recommend?
The communities, they think of their neighborhood dogs as families, and the displacement and jailing is not scientific, and neither it has ever worked. And what now needs to be done is that the government works with the feeders. The feeders are people who can be a bridge between the dog and the government and for implementing any sort of solution. So far feeders have been seen as somebody who's like, who are just labeled as dog lovers. But having dogs in our community is, it's something that even our constitution encourages us to do, which is the compassion towards all animals. The dogs trust them, and then they're easier to catch for sterilization. And then, the dogs are not frightened as much, and then they can be put back into the same community.
Right. Divya Puri, your final thoughts on what solution should we now think of as a society?
Compassion and peaceful coexistence. If Bhutan could achieve it, why can't we do it? We already have... there are so many model colonies within Delhi where you can go and see that dogs are sterilized, vaccinated, peacefully coexisting with the residents. If a handful of the colonies can achieve that, why can't the rest of the Delhi and the rest of India achieve it? Goa is rabies free. If we can do it there, why can't we do it in Delhi? Clearly, there is something lacking on part of our government that they are not able to achieve this in Delhi.
Right. We've run out of time, but thank you very much, Ambika Shukla, Divya Puri and Khushbu Gupta for joining us on this very important program and discussion point. This is not the final word on this. And as Ambika Shukla was pointing out, there are going to be some legal challenges moving forward. That's all we have time for here on Newscentre. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.